Only the children of light is gonna understand this. Only the children of light is gonna understand this.
For there are three philosophical sects among the Jews, the followers of the first of which are the Pharisees, of the second, the Sadducees, and the third sect, which pretends to a severer discipline, are called the Seeds. These last are Jews by birth, and Jews by birth,
All right, first and foremost, we want to say all praises be unto the Most High Almighty, Yeshua Christ, our Lord, our God, our Savior. This is the Essene Community Church of Christ. My name is Archbishop Shamar.
And I'm Bishop Michael Allen.
And we be bringing you our Sabbath report / lesson. All right, and once again, gospel, all right, gospel song of the day, the burden of the Lord. Once again, we want to say all praises to our Lord, our God, our Savior, Yeshua Christ, the I am that I am. The I am saves, who the world calls Jesus Christ. All right, once again, we be bringing you the song of the day, right, the gospel of the day, right, which is the burden of the Lord. All right, the burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord. Have you heard of the burden of the Lord? Do you know what the burden of the Lord is? And if you haven't, you got to ask yourself, why haven't you heard of it? All right. This is for everybody who is in this marathon that we are in for this faith. All right. And what the burden of the Lord exactly is. All right. And I think everybody who is in the faith needs to understand this, because without understanding it, they don't really know what they're taking on. All right, they don't really know what it's all about without understanding the burden of the Lord. All right, so we're going to go and ensure that individuals get the proper understanding when it comes to the burden of the Lord. All right, and just before we even go there, just think to yourself right now, right? When you hear the burden of the Lord, right, not hearing it, what comes to your mind before it's even introduced? All right, so once again, we are at the burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord.
I guess I didn't share it.
This is for everybody who is in this marathon that we are in for this faith. All right, and what the burden of the Lord exactly is. All right, and I think everybody who is in the faith needs to understand this, because without understanding it, they don't really know what they're taking on. All right, they don't really know what it's all about without understanding the burden of the Lord. All right, so we're at the burden of the Lord. All right, we're going to go to Isaiah 53 proper understanding when it comes to
This is the book of
the
the prophet
burden
Isaiah,
of
chapter
the
53,
Lord.
verse 1. Who hath believed our
All right,
report?
and just before
and
you
to
even go
whom
there,
is the
just
arm
think
of
to
the Lord
yourself
revealed?
right now. All right, so when you
Who
hear the
is
burden
going to
of the Lord,
believe the
right, not
report?
hearing it,
The
what
song,
comes the gospel, the
to your
news,
mind
before it's even
All
introduced.
right,
And who is the arm? And we know arms deals with power, fire. Power is in the arm. All right, this boxing was just on yesterday. Power is in the arm. The power of the Lord. Who is the arm of the Lord revealed to? All right. How they operate in the old covenant, in the Old Testament, right? The Most High would send the word of the Lord, which is Christ, to a chosen individual who they choose based on whatever it is that they would like to choose, right? And the word of the Lord is sent onto that individual, and they're told, "Thus saith the Most High." All right. The word of the Lord reveals onto the individual what the Most High is saying, and they're sent out to declare, "Thus saith the Most High" to the people. The people are then to listen to that individual, listen to the instructions,
again, when you're
listen
at
to
the
the word of
burden
the Lord,
of
the Lord, the burden of the Lord, the burden of the This is
Lord,
why,
the burden
this is
of
why
the
they didn't
Lord.
believe, because he's sending the word of the Lord out. The word of the Lord is first invisible. You're hearing the word for this faith. That's why they say that it comes by hearing. The Lord exactly is. All right. Right. Hearing the word of the Lord. They didn't hear the word of the Lord. They would then ask for signs, different things to believe in the word of the Lord, because they can't see it. They need, oh, who is this word of the Lord? What is the word of the Lord? Show us something. Show us a sign. Show us power. Without understanding. Right. And then eventually the word of the Lord itself had to come manifest in flesh. John 1 and 1. All right. We're going to go to Isaiah, right? The word of the Lord comes in the flesh, and still unbelief happens. The word of the
This is the book
Lord
of the prophet
then
Isaiah, chapter 53, verse
dies,
1.
resurrects,
Who hath
goes
believed
up
our
to the
report?
heavens and to the right hand side of the Father. We are then left to
Right,
believe on the
so
word of the Lord, of
hear the
what the word of the
person
Lord
and
came to
believe
do.
the report.
Right? And these are all the steps the word of the Lord did. It first came speaking and sending the word out. The word of the Lord then came and showed itself. Fire. Power is in the arm.
Double.
All right. Boxing was just on yesterday. Power is in the arm. The power of the Lord. Who is the arm of the Lord revealed to?
Check the class audio thing. There was that off.
Oh,
You know what? Oh, sorry.
how they operate in the old
Sorry.
covenant,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
Old Testament, right? The Most High would send the word of the Lord, which is Christ, to a chosen individual. So yeah, sorry about that. So once again, the word of the Lord. All right, so once again, the word of the Lord revealing itself onto that chosen vessel, and that vessel being sent out, Christ being that word of the Lord constantly was what we were to listen to. When the word of the Lord manifests itself, right, dies, resurrects, goes back up, we're left to believe on the word, the works of the word now. First it was what the word is saying, then it's believing that the word is here, now it's believing that the works that the word has done, right, in faith and coming to it, right? But everything is going back to the word of the Lord and us believing in that report, believing in what's being reported by the reporters of God, the prophets of God, the foreseers of God, right? Many times they didn't believe, all right? Killed those same people who were reporting, killing the reporters of the Lord, who's telling them about the word that they can't see. All right. Our understanding is holiday season around the world, or on this western side of the world, in Europe and all the places that are dealing with Christianity. All right. And in this holiday season, we're seeing the word of the Lord, people dealing with the word of the Lord, wanting to deal with the word of the Lord. All right. How much people are not believing, the unbelief that's out there. All right, so we're going to go into the scripture and ensure that they're interpreted, translated, and taught correctly. Once again, we're at Sirach 2 and 6.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 2, verse 6. To whom hath the root of wisdom been revealed, or who hath known her wise counsels? Unto whom hath the knowledge of wisdom been made manifest, and who hath understood her great experience?
All right, and so lucky that was 1 and 6. All right, it was edited in there wrong. So it's Sirach 1 and 6. So once again, to whom has the root of wisdom been revealed? Who has known her wise counsel? So not even just knowing wisdom, the information, but who knows wisdom in general, right? The Holy Spirit, who she is, her understanding, her history, right? Her experiences, all right? Who knows her, all right? And is saying this to ask because who's connected to her is always going to have just a little more understanding than the individual who's not connected straight to her, but just knows the information flowing from her. All right, so who has the root of wisdom been manifest to? And why are we saying that? Because that's important, because who it's manifest to, right, shows you that this individual is going to have a great depth of wisdom. Not that they already studied that wisdom, but anything that they look at with the wisdom inside of them, they can get a more in-depth understanding than an individual who's not in tune with the actual wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit, and knowing who she is, what she is, because she will always honor that individual and send more of her wisdom to somebody who knows them. Just the same way you will give more to an individual who you know than a stranger, right? Unless you're trying to prove a point, unless the person's in real need, but just off the rip, you're going to give more to somebody you know than to a complete stranger. And that's just how it is with wisdom. This is why it's saying who knows her, who knows the root. If you know all of this, that means we go way back, right? You're more inclined to get usage of things that somebody who's a stranger is not going to be able to. All right, so with that being said, we're going to get right into it. All right, we're at Matthew 11 and 25.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 25. At that time, Jesus answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight. All things are delivered unto me of my Father, and no man knoweth the Son but the Father, neither knoweth any man the Father, save the Son, and he to whomsoever the Son will reveal him. Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light.
All right, so once again, Christ is saying, all right, he's praying. At that time, he's saying, thank thee, Father, all right, O Father, the Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, revealed these things to the babes. Even so, Father, for it so seemed good in your sight. All things are delivered unto him from the Father. No man knoweth the Son but the Father, right? Neither know any man the Father except the Son, and he whoever the Son will reveal him. So once again, the Son controls who actually knows the Father, because to know the Father, you have to know the Son. And this is what a lot of people say, oh, the Most High, the Most High. And then you ask them, they're not really acknowledging Christ. And that's why this whole thing is here. That unless you acknowledge Christ as the Most High, you don't really know the Most High yet, right? You've just been bamboozled. All right, so it's come unto me, all that ye labor and are heavy laden. All right, so he's then saying, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. So this is the same rest. We're on the Sabbath day right now, and there's a promised rest to come. All right, Christ is the Sabbath, right? When he's coming, he's bringing that rest. Where all through the week, right, we're to be like, all right, you're going through your labor, and on this Sabbath, you're to rest in the Lord. Right? But until these times, all that was happening, we're to get into it, all that they were doing on the Sabbath and things of that nature and things of the law, these things were heavy. Right? Now the Sabbath is coming, the true Sabbath is coming, and they're being offered a rest. He's going to give them rest. He's saying, take my yoke upon you, learn from me. Take his yoke, learn from him, learn his understanding, right? He is meek. He is lowly in heart. And why is he showing that? Because he's showing once again that he's become the ruler of all things in the heavens and the earth, right? Underneath. he's given all that power. That's what he just showed. All things are delivered unto me under his Father. And usually a lot of rulers, right, they're overlords, all right, and burdening the people with work. Here Christ is saying, no, he's a good ruler, right? Take upon him his yoke, learn of him. He is low, he is meek and lowly. He's a meek and lowly ruler, right? Ye shall find rest for your souls. He is coming to bring rest to the souls and not to bring burden to the souls. All right. And then once again, he's explaining again that my yoke is easy, my burden is light. All right. So he's not bringing complete liberty. He is bringing a burden. He's just saying the burden is light. There is work to do, but that work is light. And we're just going to get more understanding on what this burden is. So once again, he's saying, for my burden is easy, right? For my yoke is easy, my burden is light. All right, we're going to go to burden definition.
It's the definition of burden from the Strong's Concordance. This is Greek 54:13. This is fortune or fortion. It is an invoice as part of freight. That is, figuratively, a task or service. Burden.
All right, so burden, a task or service. So burdens are tasks or services.
From there,
All right. So a burden is a task or service. All right. So burdens are tasks or services. So when he's speaking about the burden, he's saying the tasks, the services, all right, are lighter. All right. They're easy. The yoke. And we're going to get to the yoke. All right. So we're at Matthew 23:1.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 23, verse 1. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi.
All right. So Christ is speaking to the multitude and to his disciples. All right. And he's saying the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All right. And this, once again, we're understanding Moses' seat is one seat. Right. These men, though, right, the seat, and the seat has actually been spread. Right. So Moses then spreads his seat to other individuals, right? Chief seats. So he makes other chief rulers. So he's a chief ruler, but he couldn't rule on his own. So he made other chief rulers, right? That had certain whatever task that they were over, they had full power over that task. All right. So the scribes and the Pharisees, they were sitting in Moses' seat, right? And then when they're in there, right, they're telling people to do certain things. So they're putting certain laws in, right? And they're putting in laws. All right. The law may be good, but once again, if you see somebody and they're having a hard time dealing with something and you're putting more, then it could become burdensome. So Christ is not saying the laws that they put were bad. That's not what they were. They were just seeing people already struggling and keep putting in more and more law that's going to burden the individuals, right? But he's clearly saying, all therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, because they are laws, and they put them in place, and they are good laws that are respectable, right? that observe and do. He's saying whatever they did, but do not after their works. So that's where the problem is. Their works is what's the error is at. Their works is not of God, right? So he's saying don't do that, right? But what the law they wrote down, yeah, they were burdensome. They're still good though, right? That's what we're understanding. What's not good, their works is not good. So even until you do their works too. All right, so he's separating what's good, what's bad. Their works is bad. The laws that they were doing, even though burdensome, good. All right. For they bind heavy burdens, grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders. So they were writing these laws into place, right? And these laws were becoming burdensome on the people. And they themselves would not move them with one finger. So they themselves would put in a law and then not do the law, right? So they're putting in a law, and then they're like, all right, people going to do this, and then we're not going to do the law, all right? And that's what it says, that we're to be examples. So you see a law come into place. The first person to do it is the person who puts in the law. And we see that on the TV. Something goes on. Let's just go to COVID. COVID's going. What do they do? They're like, go get your shots. All right. Who's going to be there? Trudeau's at the shoppers. I'm getting my shot. You should get yours too. And he's rolling it because you can't put a law. Did you get yours? Did you get your shots? Right. That's how everyone's going to be. So at that time, all the leaders, well, this is in Canada. I don't think Trump did it. All right, Trump definitely didn't do it at this time. But over here in Canada, to convince other people, all right, the prime minister, like, he gonna take a shot on TV, all right, take the COVID vaccine.
That's not a shot.
All right.
Image is everything.
Yeah, image is everything. So the leader, if they know if people are gonna more so comply, then you're gonna do what you enforced, or someone's gonna be like, why aren't you doing it? And even parents know you do something, and then the children are like, but you're doing it. You're doing it. Why are you doing it? You know what I'm saying? You gotta be like, hey, that's that. Yeah.
Do as I say and not as I
Yeah, all right. I'm the parent. This is not for you, all right? But if it's a certain law where it's like, all right, this is for everybody, and then they see you do it, they're gonna call you out on it because they're saying you just enforce this law. All right, so the Pharisees, once again, the Pharisees putting in laws, heavy burdens, grievous to be borne, laying them on men's shoulders. They themselves will not do them, right? But all their works they do to be seen of men. But all their works and what they're doing, they want it to be seen of men. All right, they made broad their phylacteries. They enlarged the borders of their garments. They loved the uppermost rooms at the feast, the chief seats in the synagogue. So just going back to those seats, the Moses' seat, which is the chief seat, which then gets split into chief seats, other seats, all right, that he's sharing his power with. All right, so these chiefs, see, all these men, they love, that's all they love, the chiefness of what Moses put in, but they don't love the other stuff that has to do with it. This is what Christ is calling out. All right, this is what Christ is calling out. All right, so once again, we're seeing these heavy burdens that they're putting on men's shoulders. And here we have, right, the ox here, and we're seeing it carry things on its back, right? And these are symbolic for burdens, right? And animals, right, been doing that, carrying the burdens for mankind for a long time. Because whatever animal is carrying, they're carrying it for us, right? It's not for them. So they've been carrying our burdens for a long time.
Now we have cars to carry the burden.
Yeah, now we have cars, different things. All right. So we're at grievous.
This is the Strong's definition for the word grievous. This is Greek 14:19. Thus bastakos. That is from a derivative of Greek 941, oppressive.
All right, so they were putting, right, grievous burdens, oppressive burdens onto the people. All right, these things were oppressive. All right, so these laws that they were putting on them were oppressive laws. All right, that they kept putting on the individuals. All right, and this is going back to Israel and the Pharisees. All right, so once again, we're going into section 1 of this, and we're just going to see what are burdens according to the scriptures. All right, so we're going to see what are burdens according to the scriptures. All right, we're going to go to Exodus 1 and 8.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come on, let us deal with them. Let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
All right. So once again, we're seeing here, now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. All right. So this individual knew not Joseph. All right. This new king, this new leader over Egypt, he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mighty than us. Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass, they falleth out of any war. And they join also their enemies. All right. And fight against them. All right, so get them up out the land. All right, therefore, in their plots, they set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. All right, so they set over taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for the Pharaoh treasure cities. All right, Pithom, Ramesses, right? But as they're afflicting them, so the more they afflict them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. So they came up with a plot to, all right, put burdens on them to eradicate them. But with these burdens being placed on them, they just ended up being more numerous and more in number. All right. And this is what started to happen. So with these burdens set on them, I guess, we could say it's the Lord's doing as well, but for it to happen, they had to have now more sexual activity now, right? With these burdens, more stress, more relief, all right? So they didn't understand this law of nature principle. They're thinking stress them out, burden them out, they'll be done, all right? More stress, more relief, all right? That was back in the day thinking. Nowadays, people ain't thinking like that. Back in the day, stress, relief. These days people bring stress, and it means it goes into other things. All right. But, we're seeing that mates at this time, they're stressed. Husband stressed at work. Guess what? Wife is making sure, because the wife is not at work in these times. All right. Wife is home. Who's getting stressed? The man is getting stressed outside. He's coming home. Obviously, the female at some point in time is catering to the man under this stress. And because this has happened numerous times, they're having more children. All right, so at these times, they're probably, they probably wouldn't sleep with each other as much, lay with each other, right? But the stress is causing them to constantly, each time, go on into each other. All right, and they're multiplying and growing. Because the only way to multiply and grow is through that act. All right, as much as the Most High gonna bless, He could make you fertile and everything. Still, there had to have been more love-making happening with the stresses and the burdens. It's just inevitable. All right, so while they're being stressed and burdened, and they're trying to take them out with that, the children of Israel, in their stress and their burden, they're relieving themselves and creating more children and more of them. And they're not eradicating them, they're creating more population. All right. So we're at taskmasters.
This is taskmasters definition. This is Hebrew 82:69. Sar, from a head person of any rank or class, captain that had rule, chief captain, general, governor, keeper, lord, taskmaster, prince, principal, ruler, steward.
All right, so a taskmaster. All right, Sar. All right, a head person, a captain that had rule, a chief, all right, a master, a principal, a ruler, a steward, a governor. Right, so these taskmasters, all right, these people who are set over certain positions, all right, All right, you give us the next Strong's as well. Okay.
All right. This is Hebrew 45:22. That is miss, a burden as causing to faint. That is a tax in the form of forced labor. Discomfited, levy, taskmaster, tributary.
All right. So the burden here, once again, mass. All right. A tax in the form of forced labor. All right. Taskmaster, tributary. All right. So these are burdens. All right. So the head individual, taskmaster, and what they're bringing is a tax in the form of forced labor. All right. They're putting heavy tributary taskmasters on them, tax in the form of forced labor. So making them work more and then taxing them more. All right, and that was their plan. So once again, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. All right, so these taskmasters were head persons, and these burdens were a tax in a form of forced labor. All right, we're gonna go to 2 Kings 15 and 16.
It's the book of 2 Kings, chapter 5, verse 16. But he said, as the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged them to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant 2 mules, burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord.
All right, so once again, Naaman, all right, is asking to be given 2 mules of burdens of the earth. So just showing here that mules, all right, deal with the burdens of the earth. So we're going to continue. All right, give us the Septuagint translation.
All right, this is the book of 2 Kings, chapter 5, verse 16, out of the Septuagint. And Eliassi said, as the Lord lives, before whom I stand, I will not take one. And he pressed him to take one, but he would not. And Naaman said, well then, if not, let there be given to thy servant, I pray thee, the load of a yoke of mules, and thou shalt give me of the red earth. For henceforth thy servant will not offer whole burnt offering or sacrifice to other gods, but only to the Lord by reason of this thing.
All right, so once again, all right, the asking and the praying for the load of a yoke of mules, right, 2 mules of a burden of the earth. Once again, we're showing that these things were helpful for man because they're carrying his burdens. Whatever burdens we have, this thing carries it for us. All right, and this is why the importance of this animal. The Most High knew that, right, burdens would be given unto man. Man would be having to do things on the earth. So he created these animals that they also help us, right, in our burdens and with these things. All right, and the reason why we should care for them and treat them with respect, because they're carrying our burdens. All right, load of burdens. They were. All right, a lot of people still using them. Right now, we've gone into, machines and things of that nature. Right, but a lot of people still use animals, right, to carry their burdens and deal with things of that nature. All right, a lot of people still do that.
Backdrop to the story of Naaman.
Mm-hmm,
He was who he was, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He was a leper, and he was cleaned by the prophets of Israel through the Most High's power. So that's why he was saying he was no longer.
Yes. All right. So yes, no, Naaman was clean, right? He was a leper. We actually have a thing coming on that, on leper. Right? It's very hard to go into that, but this study been going on for a while, right? We're coming into, what is a leper and what happened, the difference between leper and a clean leper, and then the history of lepers and where are they now or what's happening with them now, things of that nature. So we have that coming as well. All right. So, right, he was healed, and then, you're seeing here at the end, he's saying that he's not going to deal with other gods. He's going to deal with the Most High because of this. All right. But the whole purpose of going through, just showing that, right, man in his request asking for load of mules, right, were burdens, and identifying that these animals, right, hold burdens of the earth for man. All right. So we're going to go to mule.
This is mules, definition from the Strong's. It's Hebrew 67:76, and it's tesmed, a yoke or team, that is, hence an acre, that is, day's task for a yoke of cattle to plow. Acre, couple, together, two asses, yoke of oxen.
All right, so a yoke, a team. All right, so mules, you need a team, right? Team that's going to carry burdens for you. Even right now on the social media, everything, you see people are having a team of people. That team of people, they're like, right, mules. What are they? Why? Because they're all holding each other's burdens. They're all doing different tasks, right? It's a team, all right? So when you're seeing these animals, they're usually 2 by 2, right? Because they're influencing teamwork. All right. And this team is dealing with a day task together. And that's what these mules were doing. All right. So we have the mules, all right, the asses, all right, that were handling this here. All right. People use oxes and things as well, but the mule, it handles the most heavy things. All right. So a lot of the picture we're using has ox and things there, but the mule, all right, holds the heaviest things and the burdenest things, all right, in the earth. All right, and that's not the horse. All right, so go to burden again.
This is the definition of burden. This is Hebrew 48:53. Masah, from from Hebrew 53:75. A burden, specifically tribute, or abstractly porterage. Figuratively an utterance, chiefly a doom, especially singing, mental desire, burden, carry away, prophecy. They set song tribute.
All right, so burden is masa, all right, and they use that word a lot. They say in slavery. All right, so in slavery, they say what the word that they were saying was masa, right? A lot of people are saying that, hey, that word is what they knew from their Hebrew tongue, and it meant, burden, right? And them knowing and identifying the person as, these individuals who are bringing these things about. All right, so definitely that's been out there, and they weren't saying master, right? They're saying masa. So some people are saying that word, was trickling in from their Hebrew heritage. And them putting that on those people who are oppressing them is a sign. And once again, we're seeing that same word, masa, here in the Strong's Concordance. All right, and it means a burden.
And there's no coincidences.
All right. So here we go again. All right, so we're at Sirach, all right, which is out of supposed to be in the middle of the KJV Bible, all right, but was taken out, and it's in the 1611 KJV Bible, all right. You could buy it separately, all right. We're going to go into their wisdom scripture in Sirach, which is also called Ecclesiasticus. We're at 33 and 24.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 33, verse 24. Fodder, a wand, and burdens are for the ass, and bread, correction, and work for a servant.
All right, so the fodder. All right, so let's just even get what. All right, fodder, food. All right, so food. All right, so food. All right, food, a wand, and burdens are for the ass. Bread, correction, and work for a servant. All right, so food, let's see what the wand is. All right. So let's see what the wand. Wand, a slender, a stick, a rod. All right, so the rod, it's a rod. All right, so fodder, a wand, and burdens are for the ass. So food, the rod, and work are for the ass. Bread, which is food, Correction, right, which is the rod, and work are for a servant, right? So if you're saying, I'm a servant of God, guess what you're going to get? Bread, correction, and work, all right? That's inevitable. You're going to get bread, which is food. You're going to get correction, and you're going to get work. These are the three main things. If you're saying you're a servant, you're going to get. This is what you're dealing with, the same way the animal deals with it. All right, so food, the rod, and work. All right, for the servant, bread, which is food, correction, which can be placed by the rod, and work, which are burdens, that's for the servant. All right, so if you're saying you're serving the Lord, that means you're prepared, right, to be fed by the Lord. And once again, it goes into bread, because bread, when they're feeding you the simplest things first. Bread was very, cheap, simple. Right? It didn't say, oh, you're going to feed you and you're going to be eating delicacy. No, it didn't say delicacy is for the servant. It said bread. So when you're coming to the Lord, know you'll be fed with the nourishment that you need, which is bread, the most important thing, right? The most basic thing. You're going to be getting correction, which comes by the rod, right? And you're going to have to do some work because you're a servant, right? And the same way these things are made for the ass, the same way it's made for the servant. All right. So if you're going to be a servant, you might want to go and take a look at the ass. All right. Not any females. All right. The animal. Okay. We're at Sirach 21 and 16.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 21, verse 16. The talking of a fool is like a burden in the way, but grace shall be found in the lips of the wise.
All right. So what's also a burden? All right. The speaking of a fool is like a burden of the way to someone who's of wisdom. They're like, oh, this is heavy talk. All right. So burdensome is also, the talking of a fool is also burdensome. All right. And that's burdensome to a righteous individual. But the grace shall be found in the lips of the wise. All right. So we're going to get into an article here, and we're just going to get into on yokes. We're going to get into yokes. What is this yoke? All right. Because Christ said his yoke is easy. His burden is light. All right. So a key understanding of burdens is a yoke. So we're going to go through what yokes are. All right. We're going to go through this article.
Yokes, Instrument and Metaphors by Joseph A. Musselman. At Tahaphanes, also the day shall be darkened, when I shall break there the yokes of Egypt, and the pomp of restraint shall cease in her. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 30, verse 18. It says, yield not thy neck to fortune's yoke, but let thy dauntless mind still ride in triumph over all mischance. This is William Shakespeare, Henry VI, Part 3, Act 3, Scene 3. It says, a bow or a neck yoke, called ox bows, a name lent long ago to a common feature of nearly every free-flowing watercourse, where a stream's channel bends back upon itself. The two U-shaped pieces, usually hickory wands, are held snugly in place with metal keepers inserted through holes bored in the wooden bows. The tongue of a wagon or chain from a large sledge is fastened to the iron ring, which is suspended from a iron rod called a staple. Many other designs utilizing the same principle have been used, but this is the one most often found in North American agriculture until the end of the 19th century. The word yoke can denote a type of wooden device used for many centuries past, and still today in various parts of the world, to harness animals that have been bred and trained to pull heavy loads, known as draft animals. Prior to the advent of the steam engine, heavy pulling in Europe and America was often done by pairs or yokes of oxen, castrated male cows. Two types of yokes were used: Pairs of short-horned animals were often harnessed to head yokes, which set on their foreheads in front of their horns. More practical and therefore more common was the yoke that rested on the animals' shoulders. It was fitted snugly to their necks to ensure that they would share the load equally. One ox harnessed to a single collar could be used for light pulling. Bovines have been used as a draft animals more often than equines because horses and mules tend to throw their weight against the harness.
All right.
No, sorry.
No.
At the bottom.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Against the harness and jerk the load into motion, whereas oxen naturally have what might be called a super low gear that enables them to make smoothly controlled starts.
All right. So here we're seeing a bow, a neck yoke. All right. These ox bows. All right. And once again, these things are placed around the neck. We see the U-shaped in here, which kind of locks them in. Let's see if we can get an example of one real quick. All right. Let's see if we can get one. Neck yoke. All right, perfect. All right, let's see if we can see here. All right. That's what it is. So one side, that's going to be one side. So this is a big one. This animal goes inside of there. It's basically going to lock his neck inside of there. All right. And usually it's 2 oxen that come with that. All right. So 1 oxen on one side, 1 oxen on the other side. All right, so we see that there. Let's see if we see the next one. So we see more the same thing. All right, and the same thing again. Alright, so that's basically what we're showing here. Alright. Alright, so it's going back again. Alright, it's going back again. To the neck yoke, all right, that's what we're seeing here, all right, this neck yoke, all right, 2 animals, 2 mules, showing you that you usually need a team. This device is made for 2, not 1, all right, and these beasts carry the burdens upon their shoulders, all right, and this is the device that has them together, the yoke, all right, or you could say the cuffs, all right. And you can see that when someone's cuffed together, they're carrying their burdens, all right, which is the law in itself, all right? But they do look like cuffs, all right, but we're going to continue.
A shoulder yoke, still in use in some parts of the world, is used to enable one person to carry 2 separate loads of equal weight. This view looks upward from below the yoke, with the concave part resting on the carrier's shoulders and curved notch to admit his neck, to admit his or her neck. If the carrier stands and walks erect, the shoulder yoke places the weight of the loads close to the body on both sides and straight down upon the hips and legs. allowing combined loads of 100 pounds or more to be transported without injury to the carrier.
All right, so these shoulder yokes, all right, the weight of the load is on the back, like it's saying, right, to the shoulder, straight down to the hips and the legs. All right, and this is important because there's different yokes for different places where you're putting the stress and the burdens. All right, and what you're going to see is in the Old Covenant or in the Old Testament, all right, that burden is a head yoke first. So the head yoke, which is symbolized that the burden is going to be on the individuals who are leading, right? And as we get into the New Covenant, we see that it goes to a body yoke where now the weight is more evenly distributed when it's placed on the whole body and not just on the sole individual who's the head. All right, so we're continuing.
Metaphor for oppression. Noah Webster, in his compendious dictionary of the English language in 1806, defined the yoke as a bandage of the neck, chain, bondage, mark of servitude, couple, pair. As a verb, he defined it as to couple or join together to enslave. Undoubtedly, one of the oldest words in the lexicon of animal husbandry, it has had two shades of meaning since long before biblical times.
All right, so just going back again, this bandage of neck, this chain, this bond, this bondage, this mark of servitude. And whenever you see, once again, going into shows or movies, prisoners, you see them coming in with the cuffs, cuffed together, 2 by 2, right? These are marks of servitude. All right, and when people do go to prisons or whatever, guess what's for them? They get bread, which is whatever they go, they tell you that whatever food it is, they're getting the least quality because it's bread. It's not about the delicacy and all of this. This is bread and survival right now. Bread, right? They get the wand, which is correction inside of there, right? They're called corrections officers. All right, they're called COs. So definitely correction is there because the individuals who's there and working there are called correction officers. They're to correct you. All right, and then they have work. If you're going to jail, they're going to work. You're going to have bondage, right? You don't go to jail and don't go to work. You're going to have some type of work in there, and it will be working for the minimal. All right, so just showing you in contrast to how they also line this up, right, with prison. But go ahead.
On the one hand, the union seeming to exist between the two tractable oxen yoked together has made the world a useful metaphor for the willing and productive sharing of a task or burden. The Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Philippians, chapter 4, verse 3, I entreat thee also, true yoke fellow, help those women which labored with me in the gospel. And Matthew chapter 11, verse 30 quoted Jesus, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Similarly, the English poet James Thomson, with whose epic poem The Seasons Meriwether Lewis was well acquainted, wrote in spring of compliant bovines who, on refusing to the harnessed yoke, lend their shoulder and begin their toil. Cheered by the simple song and soaring lark. However, the opposite connotation, bondage or servitude, is more frequently seen in literature from the Bible and the Quran to the writings of 18th century historians. In his epical, 6-volume history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, which was published between 1776 and 89, the English historian Edward Gibbon used the metaphor of the yoke 116 times, almost always in the specific sense of an oppressive political or religious power. He cited Charles Martel's victory over the Saracens at the Battle of Tours, France in 732 CE, which effectively halted Islamic expansion into Western Europe and saved his country from the Mahometan yoke. Meriwether Lewis once used that same expression, the Mahometan yoke, in somewhat different sense.
All right. So just go in here again. All right. That on one hand, the union seeming to exist between two tractable oxen yoked together has made the worst useful metaphor for willing and productive sharing of tasks and burdens. So when we see that, we're seeing the yoke, we're seeing team there. Team is the individuals, and that's what I was showing you, that when you have a team of people, the team of people is carrying the burdens for each other. You can't do anything without a team, or else it's going to be all on you. And just going back to Moses and what Moses was dealing with, and he had the chief seat. He's like, yo, this chief seat needs to be split up. I can't do all the work on my own. And he created a team of leaders. All right, and then they give you, different quotes of people who've used it in the past, showing this, usage of the oxen being used for productive sharing of tasks or burden. All right. And then we see it also being used, all right, as a metaphor, right, by Edward Gibbon, right, in a specific sense of an oppressive political religious power, all right. And he cited Charles Martel's victory over the Saracens at the Battle of Tours, France, which effectively halted Islamic expansion into Western Europe, right, and saved the country from the Mahometan yoke. And that just means this just Muhammad yoke, all right? These are different words that they had for the Islam religion and faith back then, right? And that yoke is heavy, all right? So Christ is bringing a lighter burden, right? And this is what confuses me too. Just to sidetrack real quick, because when I see someone who's, all right, goes to that faith, and then in that faith, I don't see them with the headgear on and everything on, that's somebody who, going back to the beginning of the question, the burden of the Lord, that person has no idea the burdens of their faith because they're not even dealing with them. That's someone who don't even understand, right? Because for you to say that, and then for you to have your headgear off when that's a part of what you're supposed to be, and then you're happy about that faith, means you don't really understand the burden of that faith or what it's doing. You're being ignorant of it. All right. And if someone's going over there, that means they're going to be loving to do all the things of these laws, all that's required. All right. And when you look at the countries where these laws are at, people were trying to run from those countries into countries where they could go and relax, get into sin if they want to. Right. These countries are just now allowing alcohol, things of that nature. And this is going back to the same message Christ was saying, that they put this law. So they put this law in Islam, places that you can't drink alcohol. I want to ask you if you think their leaders are drinking alcohol. All right. You know what? Let me go to, because this is definitely happened. All right, let's see. They did have it. I forgot what it's called. Let me see if I can find it real quick. All right. Okay, so this is what it's on here. Let me see. Okay, share the screen here.
Relax, and we have a wonderful guest house. So they thought that was a good idea. When the king landed, one of the things they were unloading from the plane was liquor and hard whiskey. Well, we took a look at this, and where did they put the stuff? They put the stuff under the king's bed in the guest house. So we were kind of shocked. And during the stay, we could see that they would drink this stuff straight. But it was kept very quiet.
King Saud's drinking was kept quiet in part because the king was an important asset for the Americans. Since Gamal Abdel Nasser's overthrow of the king of Egypt in 1952, the balance of power in the region had changed. Nasser aligned himself with the Soviet Union and proclaimed himself a socialist and pan-Arabist. For both Saudi Arabia and America, this was a threat.
The Cold War.
All right. So just showing you again that in these regions, these people that put in these laws, all right, that they, put the law in, you can't drink alcohol, you gonna die, we chop your hand off. Meanwhile, alcohol under the king's bed, and they seeing them drink, and they drinking straight, right? But just go back to what Christ is saying, that they're putting these things, which, okay, that's a good law to put in, but they're not doing it themselves. All right, they're not keeping it. And this has been happening in Islamic countries for a long time, because in their faith, they ban these things outright, right? And they themselves can't deal with the burdens of these things. All right, so just once again, honing in on these certain facts here. All right, so we're gonna go to types of yokes.
These are the types of yokes. Farmers favor cattle over horses in part because oxen yokes are simple and require little repair or maintenance. Teamsters drive oxen to complete a number of agricultural and transportation tasks, using a yoke that maintains control while harnessing the power of the animals. The type of yoke used to keep a pair of oxen together varies around the world depending on the physical characteristics of indigenous cattle and the cultural traditions of the area. This is the head yoke. When using a head yoke, which attaches around the animal's horn, oxen push forward with their heads and horns bearing the bulk of their load's weight. Historically, these yokes were called forehead yokes because the yokes were attached directly to the specimen's horns. This style was popular in Austria, Germany, and Switzerland, but fell into disuse because cattle harnessed in this way frequently suffered serious skull injuries. Contemporary head yokes are held in place by straps around the backs of the animals' heads rather than being directly attached to their horns. These yokes rely on oxen's natural tendency to push with their heads and are common in Spain, Portugal, and Latin American countries. The neck yoke. Neck yokes give oxen greater flexibility and maneuverability than head yokes and gives the teamster less control over the animals. The yoke sits atop the middle of the animal's neck with curved bows wrapping underneath to hold the yoke in place. Neck yokes require oxen to push with their shoulders, necks, and chests rather than with their heads. This style is an English tradition that was exported to the United States and Australia, where it is still used today.
All right, so we have the head yoke, which attaches around the animal's horns, right? The oxen push forward with their heads, the horns bearing the bulk of the load's weight. So this is what I'm speaking about, that the head yoke, this is the Old Testament. You're going to see that this yoke was on the leaders at the beginning, all right? Using this head yoke, which attaches around the animal's horns, all right? And push forward on the heads, and the horns is bearing the bulk of the load's weight. All right, these yokes were called forehead yokes because the yokes were attached directly to the specimen's horns. All right, this is popular in Austria, Germany, Switzerland, right? But fell into disuse because cattle harnessed in this way frequently suffer serious skull injuries. They're taking out all the brunt. They're taking out all the hurt. All right, contemporary head yokes are held in place by straps around the backs of the head's animals rather than being directly attached to the horns. All right, so once again, these yokes rely on the oxen's natural tendency to push with their heads. All right, so the way that they're, I guess, moving, they're moving forward with their heads. All right, then we have the neck yoke, which gives the oxen greater flexibility, maneuverability than head yokes, gives the teamster less control over the animals. All right, the yoke sits atop the middle of the animal's neck with curved bows wrapping underneath to hold the yoke in place. Neck yokes require oxen to push with their shoulders, necks, and chests rather than with their heads. All right, so it's moving from the head bearing all the weight to the shoulders bearing the weight. All right, then we're at withers yoke.
All right, it's the withers yoke. The withers yoke works best on a humped cattle, such as those indigenous to India. Africa, and Southeast Asia. The yoke itself rests against the animal's hump in front of his withers, riding high on his neck. The animal's head and neck are free, and his shoulders move without interference. Variations of this type of yoke are used most commonly in India, which has the world's largest concentration of working cattle.
All right, so once again, they're not in India, they're still using a lot of natural animal strength to carry these burdens. All right, see if we can find the head yoke. The head yoke. Let's see. Head yoke. Oh, sorry. All right. All right, so we're going to continue. We're at Jeremiah 17 and 9.
19, yeah.
I mean, say it again?
Is it 19? Or it's just Jeremiah 17 and 19, right?
Yeah, 17 and 19. Sorry, yeah.
It's the book of the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 19. Thus said the Lord unto me, Go and stand in the gate of the children of the people, whereby the kings of Judah come in, and by the which they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem, and say unto them, Hear ye the word of the Lord, ye kings of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that enter by these gates. Thus saith the Lord, Take heed to yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day. Neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers. But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their necks stiff, that they might not hear, nor receive instruction.
All right. So we're seeing here, thus saith the Most High, the Lord said unto me, Go stand in the gate of the children of the people, whereby the kings of Judah come in, and by which they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem, and say unto them, Hear ye the word of the Lord. So this is going back again to the same thing, Isaiah 53 and 1. The word of the Lord coming to the individual, the word of the Lord saying something, and then he's sent out. People are like, who are you to tell me this? No, God, the word of the Lord revealed this and sent this person out to declare, Thus saith the Most High, Hear ye the word of the Lord. Hear the word of the Lord, the same invisible word that was there in the beginning. Right? Ye kings of Judah, all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that enter in by these gates. So he was speaking to everybody. The prophet is there to rebuke the kings, the people, to everybody. All right, so say unto them, Hear the word of the Lord, ye kings of Judah, all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that enter in by these gates. So they're talking to the whole, everybody, no exception, leader not excluded, no one excluded. Thus saith the Lord, Take heed to yourselves and bear no burden on the Sabbath day. So it's the Sabbath day. All right, so we're understanding, bear no burden on the Sabbath day.
They refusing to take a day off.
Refusing to take any law the Most High puts in, doesn't matter if it's thing, they do an opposite. So he's saying don't do no work, and they still want to take things out the house. He's telling you to rest, and you still don't want to rest. All right, so he says, Take heed to yourselves, bear no burden on the Sabbath day. This day is not for you to deal with worldly burdens. The Sabbath day is not made for work. You have all 6 days prior to deal with worldly burdens. Right? On this day, they're trying to come out the household and deal with separate burdens, deal with this task for this person, deal with that for that person. No. The Lord is saying, bring no burden on the Sabbath day. Don't bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. Don't bring it in. Don't bring these works in. All right. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day. All right. Don't bring nothing out your house on the Sabbath day. The Most High was trying to show them to rest. Don't be dealing with other work. I got this to do. I need to bring this to my aunt. I need to bring this to this person down the road. I need to drop this to this person. The focus of the Sabbath day is to focus on the Lord. All right. That's the focus of the Sabbath. You need to focus. If you can't put aside one day, what day can you put aside? All right. So he says, neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day, neither do ye any work. Don't bring no burdens out. Don't do any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day as I commanded your fathers. Hallow the Sabbath day because it's of importance. It's the day to get yourself prepared, get yourself ready. But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their neck stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instruction. So they continued to create burdens on this day. And then people wonder why the Most High is not making their burdens lighter. You're not even respecting the day where he says, all right, take a break for me as respect, and I'll make sure continuously that, outside of that, you'll have lighter burdens. All right, this day is to be looked at as a non-burdensome day. If somebody in their heart is looking at the Sabbath like a day, I don't want to deal with it. You've already done the Sabbath disjustice. Because it's supposed to be a day where it's relieving your burden. And you say that it's created a burden for you. It is a burden for you. You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to come to it. How can that be? When it's a day to be free in the Lord and a day of liberation for your soul. It's a reset for your soul, right? But it's burdensome for your flesh. All right? So your flesh doesn't like it. Your flesh thinks it's a burden. Right? But once again, we're showing you that the Sabbath day is supposed to be a free day, a day of liberty for your soul to deal with the Lord, because it's being burdened with worldly work during the week. And then in your heart, you're saying, hey, it's a burden. I don't really want to deal with it. Right? You're already thinking opposite of what God has placed the day for. And why he's put it there, to tell you to relax on this day, easy on this day, rest in the Lord. That's where your blessings will come. All right, but they obeyed not, they inclined not their ear, but made their neck stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instructions. All right, and we have this photo here, and people just carrying burdens out, the whole marketplace running on the Sabbath. That was what's going on. All right, we're at Jeremiah 17:24.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 24. And it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith the Lord, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein. Then shall there enter into the gates of this city, and princes sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And this city shall remain forever. And they shall come from the cities of Judah, and from the places about Jerusalem, and from the land of Benjamin, and from the plain, and from the mountains, and from the south, bringing burnt offerings and sacrifices and meat offerings and incense, and bringing sacrifices of praise unto the house of the Lord.
All right, so he says that it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me. All right. Saith the Lord. Continue. Verse 27. Guess verse 27. Mm-hmm.
But if you will not hearken unto me, hallow the Sabbath day, and not to bear a burden, even entering in at the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, then will I kindle a fire in the gates thereof, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem, and it shall not be quenched.
All right, so once again, it's saying, it shall come to pass, if you diligently hearken unto me, all right, saith the Lord, to bring no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day. So once again, they're a running marketplace. We're picturing a place that's supposed to be resting on that day, and they're creating a marketplace, a flea market, and all that environment is happening on that day where he's saying to rest. Right, you know how busy markets and all of that can look. So he's telling them, don't bring nothing through the city. Don't allow people to start setting up market in the city and doing different things on this day. Right, so he said, if you hearken to me and don't allow people to bring burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein, then there shall enter into the gates of this city kings and princes. sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots. They, their princes, men of Judah, inhabitants of Jerusalem, this city shall remain forever. So he's saying, yo, you're going to have kings, princes, the place is going to be running good. They shall come from the cities of Judah, from the places of Jerusalem. He's telling them they're going to come, they're going to offer up things here, they're going to bring things here. It's going to be a market here. He's telling you how the market going to run, though. It's just not going to run on the Sabbath. All right, but he's saying if you don't listen, but if you will not hearken and hallow the Sabbath day not to bear a burden, even entering in at the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath, then he's going to kindle a fire, all right, and the palaces of Jerusalem, and they won't be quenched. So he's going to bring destruction to the place. So the same thing, peace, the same thing for your body, resting your body on the Sabbath day, resting your mind, right? Come into the Lord. He will bring peace into your life if you're a child of God, all right? Because if you're a child of God and you're not doing that, then he'll bring the belt to correct you, all right? But if you're not, then you won't, and you're not doing that, then he's like, hey, that's for someone else to correct. All right. So we're at section 2 now. All right. We're just going to get into the burdens of the children of Israel. All right. What are these burdens exactly? All right. So we're going to go and see what these burdens are. And we're at Numbers 11 and 10.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 11, verse 10. Then Moses heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly. Moses was also displeased. And Moses said unto the Lord, wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all this people upon me? Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them, that thou shouldest say unto me, carry them in thy bosom, as a nursing father beareth the suckling child? Unto the land which thou swearest unto their fathers? When should I have flesh to give unto all this people? For they weep unto me, saying, give us flesh that we may eat. I am not able to bear all these people alone, because it is too heavy for me.
All right. So here we're seeing now, all right, properly identifying what burdens are. All right. There's different type of burdens. This is one of the burdens. All right. The burden of the people. All right. And this is the services to render to the people, right? Moses hearing the people, their families, the problems, they're weeping, they're groaning, right? Moses is saying to the Lord, why have you afflicted me? Why have you afflicted me, thy servant? Once again, he didn't understand what a servant means. Bread, wand, and work. So you getting exactly what a servant getting, Moses, all right? So he's saying, wherefore hast thou afflicted thy servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou layest the burden of all these people on me? So Moses, at this time, he's like, yo, God is laying all this service, all this work. I got to attend to all these people. All what you need done for you, those are services, those are burdens. Burdens, tasks, services. All these tasks for the people are burdensome onto him. He's dealing with a nation of people's tasks on his own. All right, because right now he's the sole individual leader. Right, he doesn't have a team of people yet he could, all right, you do this for me, assistant. He doesn't have none of that yet. So everything is on him and he's feeling it and he's telling God, thou layest the burden of all this people on me. Then he's saying, have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them? Because he's saying once again, when he's over them, he's like a father over them, right? And now he got to care about, are they eating? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? He want to go back living regular. He's like, I didn't birth them. I want to live my life. If they can't eat, why does that have to do with me? You get what I'm saying?
And they're chiding in his ear.
Yeah, and they get in his ear. So he's like, yo, he's not used to this, but he's doing something that the Lord has set him up to do. But he's letting the Lord know this is burdensome unto him, right? Has he conceived all this people? Has he begotten them, that thou shouldest say it unto me, carry them in thy bosom as a nursing father, bearing a suckling child, right? And feeding them and bringing them and protecting them. Then he's saying, where should I have flesh to give all these people? So these people asking him for food, everything. This is all the problems that Moses had, which were burdens, all right? Because these are tasks that he has to do for the people. Where am I going to get food to feed all these people, God? They're weeping to me, saying, give us flesh that we may eat. I am not able to bear all this people alone because it is too heavy for me. All right, so these were the burdens Moses was coming across dealing with the children of Israel.
And like even the yoke of the oxen, there's usually a pair of them. Singular,
Yeah, he was singular. Or he did have Aaron with him.
but not at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? Because Aaron was not doing the same thing. But yeah.
All right. All right, so continue. All right, we're going to go to Numbers 11 and 26.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 11, verse 26. I guess that was a typo in here too. Was it 60? Was that a typo?
Oh, I mean, sorry. No, sorry. Whatever it say on the page, don't listen to my words, all right? Numbers 11 and 16.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 11, verse 16. And the Lord said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee. And I will come down and talk with thee there, and I will take of the Spirit which is upon thee, and will put it upon them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that thou bear it not thyself alone.
All right, so once again, what the Most High is doing, everything is strategic because Moses is the single person bearing everything, right? He's the sole individual dealing with the things for the Most High. And then he's requesting that, hey, let me get other teams of people to share this important power with. All right, Moses is so humble because usually someone, if it was burdensome or not, they'll be like, yo, I got all this power, I ain't giving it up. Moses is like, yo, it's fine. Let's get other people to share some of these tasks, and they be over this, they be over that, they be over this, they rule over this, they rule over that, and help me with some of what I'm dealing with. All right, so he takes those who are elders of the people, known and officers over them, bring them to the tabernacle that they may stand there with thee, right? And the Most High says he's going to come down and talk with thee there, and he's going to take of the Spirit which is on him. So Moses had this fullness of spirit. So he had everything he had in his fullness, and he's sharing it now with the other individuals, all right, who basically become clergy now after this, all right, because they become part of his leadership, right? So he takes of the Spirit which is upon him, and he puts that Spirit on them. And now they're sharing the burden of the people with them, that thou bear it not alone thyself. So now the burdens are being shared by the individuals, all right, together. And this is what Moses was requesting. All right. So we're at Deuteronomy 1 and 9.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 9. And I spake unto you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. The Lord your God hath multiplied you, and behold, ye are this day as the stars of heaven for multitude.
All right, so this is what Moses is saying. He's like, yo, am not able to bear you myself alone. He's saying, y'all were small before. God multiply y'all like the stars of heaven. There's too much problems, too much tasks, too much services, too much people, all right, to deal with everyone's problem on his own, and everybody gonna want to Moses to deal with their problem. Because that's what it is when you have a person up there like, no, I want him to deal with it. All right.
Major or minor.
Yeah, major or minor. All right. So continue for us.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 11. The Lord God of your fathers made you 1,000 times so many more as ye are, and bless you as he hath promised you. How can I myself alone bear your encumbrance, and your burden, and your strife? Take you wise men and understanding and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you.
All right. So here again, Moses is saying, once again, he's the ruler, right? But what he's doing is saying, hey, I'm understanding as a meek individual, as a person with the power, I'm going to share my seat and my power with other people because Moses, right, who had all of that, said it's too burdensome for him. He wants to split it up now. All right. So he takes known people among wise, understanding, and known among the tribes, and he makes them rulers too. So there's chief seats. So this is where it goes back to chief seat, not just one chief seat in Israel, but chief seats, right? But they all listen to Moses because Moses is the one Moses' seat controls all those seats. All right. But we're just understanding that all these men are a part of now leadership, rulership, all right, and sharing in that. And Moses is saying, hey, I'm doing this because it's too much burden for one man to do, right? So I have a team of people doing this as well who's under me, and they're leaders like I am. All right, so continue.
Verse 14. And he answered me and said, the thing which thou hadst spoken is good for us to do. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over fifties, and captains over tens, and officers among your tribes. And I charged your judges at that time, saying, hear the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger that is with him. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's. And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. And I commanded you at that time all the things which ye should do.
All right, so this is a longer of what Moses, that discussion that he was having. All right, letting them know you guys multiplied, you're like the stars of the heavens. I can't deal with your burdens, your encumbrance, your strife on my own. He's setting up rulers, all right, out of their brethren, out of their tribes, all right. So he took chief of the tribes. So he took the chief of the tribes, wise men known, made them heads over them. So he's setting up rulership and leaders and chief seats and making them over. And he's, once again, he's supposed to be over everybody, but he's splitting it up. And these individuals are over these individuals. And this is how he's breaking it down. So he took the chief of the tribe, the wise men known, made them heads over you. Captains over thousands. So there's people who will be leaders over thousands of people. That's how much they could lead. All right. There's people who they're only leading hundreds of people. All right. So they're only over hundreds of people. There's people who are over 50 people. Captains who are over 50s. Right. Captains who are over 10s. And officers among your tribe. Officers are just regular individuals who can be leaders, but they're not per se over individuals. And when it means over individuals, it means it's over other individuals in leadership. All right. These, not people per se. All right. So when you have like a captain over 10, all right, that's going to be 10 soldiers that this man is captain over. All right. That's a part of his thing, not per se the people. This is not numbers of people. This is numbers of how much people that is a part of what they're doing that's going to listen to their understanding, and they're going to instruct them. All right. And just because these are a lot of Hebrew terms, just to let people know. All right. This is a term used in school as well. All right. And that's dean. So we have dean too, right? We have dean who's part of the thing, and right, it's the same thing. So that word specifically, right, is an ecclesiastical title etymologically, right? It says head of a group of 10. So, right, when you see a dean at a school or whatever, this is what it means. President of a faculty or department, all right, they're the head of 10 individuals. All right, that's what a dean is, or a commander of 10 soldiers. That's a dean. All right. And just going back again, right, to the scripture, captain over 10s. So captain over 10s, that's a dean. All right. So just allowing people to understand the Hebrew and then also how it comes into the Greek, because dean is now, that's more Greek because we're out of the Hebrew. All right. So he said, and I charge your judges at that time, hear the cause between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother and the stranger that is with them. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but you shall hear the small as well as the great. So he's instructing them in what to do. And you shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's. And the cause that is too hard for thee, bring it to me, and he will hear it. So he's instructing them on what they're going to be listening to and hearing, and what he will be hearing. He only hears what's too hard for them to deal with, he will deal with. All right. So just going back again. All right. So we're at cumbrance. We're going to go into cumbrance. What is cumbrance?
Cumbrance. This is cumbrance definition out of the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. This is Hebrew 29:60. It is tarak. That is a burden, cumbrance, trouble. Cumbrance etymology, destructive influence from the late 14th century, trouble, difficulty, from cumber, ence. Cumbrance, no, my, okay. Yeah, this burden.
All right. So cumbrance, give us a burden too. Give us a burden as well.
Burden definition, this is Hebrew 48:53, that is masa. Hebrew 53:75, a burden, specifically tribute. Or abstractly, porterage, figuratively an utterance, chiefly a doom, especially singing, mental desire, burden, carry away, prophecy, they set, song, tribute.
All right. So once again, the strife. So their strifes, which are legal contests they were bringing to Moses, right? Their burdens, right, which are anything that they were dealing with, right? And their cumbrances, any difficulty, we're having trouble with this. We don't know how to do that. We don't know how to do this. This is going on with everything they were bringing to Moses. Every single problem, court problem, right? Issue, the city, anything they were coming to Moses. Everything, all right? Music too loud. Everything coming to Moses, all right? He's like, I can't deal with all of those things, right? And the strife, which is a contest legal. So they want all of them, here are legal. He can't hear the whole city's legal matters. All right, it's not enough time in the day. All right, so we're going to go to this article here, and it's going to go into the burdens of the Levite and what they were exactly. What were the burdens that the Levites had?
Burdens of the Levite. This is Theopolis Institute. The Hebrew word burden, massa, can refer to a literal load that carried by an animal or person. It is used in the literal sense of the Levitical crews that carry around the tabernacle and its furnishings. The Levites are God's beast of burden, his oxen.
All right, so here it's letting you know that the Levites, all right, who now would be, all right, in the Christian sense, the Lord's anointed, those who will receive the Spirit, all right, they're to carry the burden. We're the Most High's beasts of burdens, right? We're the ones to deal with his work on the earth. He has work and he's distributing amongst us to deal with, right? We're his beasts of burden. The same way we have beasts of burden when we have work and we distribute it and we're like, all right, make this animal, carry it up there and put it on this one. That's what God is doing with us. He has stuff he need to deal with. He one can't deal with it. So he puts it one on his shoulder, some on me, some on you, the person over there, and we're sharing in this. All right. And that's our purpose as God's priesthood. All right. His people, his chosen people. And when he chooses the people, they're to become his priesthood, complete to do these things. All right. So the Levites are God's beasts of burdens, his oxen. All right. Continue for us.
It is used metaphorically to describe the burden of responsibility. And this metaphorical use expands to describe the responsibility or burden that Moses has in carrying all the people around. He is the chief beast of burden, responsible for carrying Israel out of Egypt to Canaan. When he complains that the burden is too heavy, God spreads out his spirit and provides more burden bearers. Already here, the notion of a burden has a prophetic connotation. Moses is his chief prophet, and at least two of the men who received the spirit that allows them to share Moses' burden prophesy in the camp. Someday, Moses hopes everyone will have the spirit and prophecy. Everyone will share in bearing the burden of the people. We can say several things about the burden of the prophets. First, given the Mosaic background, the prophets function as a new Moses when they are given the burden of a prophetic message and deliver it to the people. Though they are not literally leading Israel from Egypt through the desert to the promised land, they are metaphorically bearing the same burden as Moses. Imaginatively, at least, and socially, they carry Israel through the howling waste of judgment and alienation from God toward a new creation.
All right, so it's going there showing you that, all right, burden of responsibility, all right, this is what a burden is. Burdens of responsibility, all right, and it's used metaphorically, all right, to describe the responsibility or burden that Moses has in carrying all the people around, right? Moses is the chief beast burden, all right? Because once again, he is the head. He is the head, and then once again, he spread that out to other individuals who would share in the burden as well. But he is the chief beast burden, right? But he then asks, because the burdens are too heavy, that God spreads out his spirit and provides more burden barriers, all right? So more burden beasts with him, all right? So once again, Moses is the chief prophet, all right? And at least two of the men who received the spirit allows them to share Moses' burden in prophecy. So by them receiving the spirit, they were able to now share in the burdens that Moses was dealing with. All right, and it's showing that he hopes that Moses is hoping that one day everyone will have the spirit prophesy and everyone will share in the bearing of the burden. All right, because once again, these are works. When you're dealing with people's things, people's problems and all this stuff, right? And then on top of that, right, when people are doing that, right, it's going to be, right, they're coming to Moses with all of that. I'm pretty sure there is still a problem because Moses identified it with tithing or securing Moses. Moses doing all of this. When does he have time for himself, right? When is he going to have time for himself?
And then depending on the judgment that is given, there's problems with that.
Then there's problems with that, right? So he's going to be unable to attend to himself, live his regular life if he's dealing with all the stuff that people are leaving for him to help them so that they can go live their life. All right. And that's what the priesthood deals with. The priesthood deals with the burdens and all the things of the Lord that the people are supposed to be dealing with, the research, all of this, so that you don't have to do it, but it's given here for you. Right. And the burden becomes lighter for the individual. They could come, receive the word, hear the word, go to work. And once again, they're just here to support it, to continue going on. All right. And acknowledge that, hey, without that, I would have to be doing this burden myself. Right. And that's a lot. All right. So just going again, but continue for us.
Second, given the Levitical background, the prophets are also functioning as Levites bearing the burden of Israel's worship on their shoulders. We might imagine the prophetic task this way. As the Levites carried God's house from Egypt to Canaan, so the prophets carry Israel, God's house, from Egypt to Canaan. Or as the Levites bore burdens to ensure that Israel would worship God at every stop, so the prophets bear the burden of prophecy to establish the worship of God everywhere in the land. The fact that the Levitical burden eventually becomes a burden of song fits here too. Song and prophecy are closely linked. The Levitical choir has the burden of song, and they also play and sing in order to prophesy. This is 1 Chronicles 25:1. Third, one of the striking things about the prophetic use of the term is that the burdens are often directed against Gentiles. Most of Isaiah's burdens are for Gentiles, and we see the name in Nahum 1:1. The prophet is not only bearing Israel through the wilderness, but bearing up the load of the nations. This is a new Levitical task in the prophetic phase of Israel's history. Finally, of course, we should work in all the New Testament uses of the idea of burden. Jesus is the new Moses, equipped with the Spirit beyond measure, so that he can bear the burden of his people through the wilderness, through the cross toward the resurrection. He is a true Levite who bears the house of God on his shoulders, and the chief Levitical singer who raises up his father in his praises. He's the final prophet with his word, who with his word bears the burden of Israel and the nations. We can lay our burdens on him and he carries them. We can throw ourselves on him and he will bear us to the Father. But he also has poured out his Spirit on us so that we can share with him in bearing one another's burdens and the burden of the world.
All right, so there is showing you the same way, and everything's prophetic, the same way Moses had all that Spirit on him and he could share with everybody. Now, if we're talking about Christ, he definitely has an amount to share with everybody, liberally, all right? So that same thing, and you need that Spirit to be able to carry on the burdens. You should need to ask for that so that you can help God, all right? So there is a Spirit that came with this, that was taken off from Moses, that will be taken off from Christ and brought on to the believer, that they can share in the burden. And what you need for that is understanding, wisdom and understanding, because you can't help God if you don't have the wisdom, and you're just going to be asking questions again. This is what I say when I go to work. They want to find someone who they could leave there, and they run into a problem. Every second they're going to call them on the phone. Hey, this is happening with the computer here. I don't know what they want. Someone, all right? They have wisdom and understanding. There's a problem here. They fixed it, and the boss came in, and you telling the boss what happened, and he's like, "Oh, you fixed it? Yeah, I fixed it." You just telling him what happened so that he knows what happened, but the problem's solved. Unless it's real egregious where now you got to call the boss and they're looking at the problem. They're like, you know what? This was beyond fixable for you. I now have to call even somebody else or something else. But if he's like, this could have easily been fixed, they might not even say it to you, right? But they're already going in their head like, yo, I might have to get this guy out of here, get this person out of here. Simple stuff they're not understanding, right? And they might not right there fire you on that one, but that definitely is a knock now, all right? And they're now, all right, that's in their head registered. All right, let 5 more of that happen. And they're like, you know what? I don't think this relationship working out, man. All right, so we want to have that spirit too so that we can help, all right? We want to help. You always want to help as well, all right, and carry some of the burden, which is dealing with the people, dealing with the things of the church, dealing with problems, right? Also the expenses. All of these things are sharing in the burdens. All right, we're at Numbers 4 and 46.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 4, verse 46. All those that were numbered of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron and the chief of Israel numbered, after their families and after the houses of their fathers, from 30 years and upward, even unto 50 years, everyone that came to do the service of the ministry and the service of the burden in the tabernacle of the congregation. Even those that were numbered of them were 8,580. According to the commandment of the Lord, they were numbered by the hand of Moses, everyone according to his service and according to his burden. Thus were they numbered of him as the Lord commanded Moses.
All right, so all those that were numbered of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron, the chief of Israel, numbered after their families, after the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even to 50 years old, everyone that came to do service of the ministry. So these people had to come and do service of the ministry and the service of the burden in the tabernacle of the congregation. All right, so there was things that they had to do within the church. All right. Now, an individual has to ask himself right now, all right, what burden are you doing for the Lord? All right. And if you're not doing a burden, then seek to do a burden for the Lord to help out. Because this is what the message is showing, that Moses, the one, had all the burden. He's sending it on to other individuals, and everybody's now hearing, you know what? Oh, there's a burden. There's a burden. What can we do to help? What we can do to help? The burden of the Lord, burden of the Lord. All right. So there's things for people who are priests. They know what they're going to do, but then it's the people to be like, all right, I see them doing it. The people is going to have to, because Moses, they're ordering the leaders. All right. Then it's eventually the people to be like, all right, what can we do to help? How can we help? What can I do for the burden of the Lord as well? All right. So once again, these burdens are things for service. All right. Things to do for the ministry, all those things. And they got to be shared because one person can't do all of that. And that's what we're seeing. That's what a team is. This person's doing film. This person's doing the thing. This person's doing data on this. This person's something, right? But doing something and helping, right? That is the message in the old covenant and more so in the new covenant. All right. So once again, key notes, Moses and Aaron, all together from the ages of 30 and 50 and up, came to the service of the ministry. All right. Those between 30 and 50-year-old were assigned to the service of the burden. All right. These burdens were to take place within the tabernacle of the congregation. All right. This was the appointment of priestly and tabernacle duties for the community. All right. Moses and Aaron delegated the burdens to other Levitical families. All right. And we just do this one last scripture and we'll just recap it back. So I'm going to break it down brief, but we'll recap it back for next week. But I'll end it off here.
All right. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 31. Behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that use their tongues and say, He saith. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, saith the Lord, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies, and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, saith the Lord. And when this people, or the prophet, or priest, shall ask thee, saying, What is the burden of the Lord? Thou shalt then say unto them, What burden? I will even forsake you, saith the Lord. And as for the prophet and the priest and the people that shall say, The burden of the Lord, I will even punish that man and his house. Thus shall ye say, every one to his neighbor, and every one to his brother, What hath the Lord answered, and what hath the Lord spoken? And the burden of the Lord shall ye mention no more, for every man's word shall be his burden. For ye have perverted the words of the living God, of the Lord of hosts of our God. Thus shalt thou say to the prophet, What hath the Lord answered thee, and what hath the Lord spoken? But since ye say, The burden of the Lord, therefore thus saith the Lord, because ye say this word, the burden of the Lord, and I have sent unto you, saying, Ye shall not say the burden of the Lord. Therefore, behold, I, even I, will utterly forget you, and I will forsake you. And the city that I gave you and your fathers, and cast you out of my presence. And I will bring an everlasting reproach upon you, and a perpetual shame, which shall not be forgotten.
All right, so here, the Most High is speaking, all right? Behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that use their tongues and say, He saith. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams. We went into this dreams lesson. Go back, check out the dreams lesson, if you haven't. Thus saith the Most High, and do tell them and cause my people to err by their lies, right, which come from these dreams that are vain, right, and by their lightness. Yet he said he sent them not, nor commanded them, therefore they're not going to profit this people at all. And when this people, or the prophet, or priest shall ask thee, saying, What is the burden of the Lord? Thou shalt say unto them, What burden? So this is what the Most High is saying. He's taking all this out. People ain't going to remember what burden. Oh, this is why at the beginning of the lesson, I had to think, the burden of the Lord? Do you know the burden of the Lord? If you haven't heard it, right, that means there's a problem here. Right? If you don't know what the burden of the Lord is, that means there's a problem here. Because this is the prophecy. What burden of the Lord are you talking about? All right. So when this people or the prophet or a priest shall ask thee, say, What is the burden of the Lord? Thou shalt say unto them, What burden? I will even forsake you, saith the Lord. So you're not even going to know about work and what you do for the Most High no more. And, oh, this is what you should do and do for the, no more. You're going to be doing your own thing, your own burdens, not the burden of the Lord, your own stuff out of your own mouth for your own things, not to deal with God. So this is what he's saying. What burden? I will forsake you, saith the Lord. And as for the prophet, the priest, the people that say the burden of the Lord, I will even punish that man in his house. So he's saying, the people going to forget it. And the person that remember it and is saying, thus say it, burden of the Lord, he going to punish that person to even say, oh, burden of the Lord, and try to perform burden of the Lord. And thus shall you say, everyone to his neighbor, everyone to his brother, what has the Lord answered? And what has the Lord spoken? So did the Lord answer? Did the Lord speak? Did he say something? What's the word of the Lord? And the burden of the Lord ye shall mention no more. So he's saying this burden, all the works to do, the information, right? The services, the tasks, all of these things shall be mentioned no more. For every man's word shall be his burden. This is the new burden. What you saying? Hey, can you grab something for me? Can you do it? All what you want to do. That's the new burden. For you have perverted the words of the living God. So he's like, no more coming to the word of the living God and getting, oh, God should do this. Oh, you need him to do that. Oh, let's do this for God. Right? The person is blocked off from that and therefore cannot help in the burden, is not helping in the work. Don't know what they should do, how to help. All right. That means you're locked off from the burdens. Right. And that's why you have to pray. It's something that we've seen that the Most High put the Spirit on individuals to ask, hey, I want that Spirit to hold some of the burden. I want to know what my task is, what my work is. And asking for the Spirit so that now he can give you understanding. Oh, now the idea is there. The burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord. Oh, I should do this. Oh, it looks like we need this set up. We need this set up. Well, when the person's disconnected from that, they don't know what to do. They don't know what the burden. They're on their own words. Every man's word become their own burden. All right. And thus shalt thou say to the prophet, what has the Lord answered thee? What has the Lord spoken? But since ye say the burden of the Lord, therefore saith the Lord, because ye say this word, the burden of the Lord, and I have not sent you, saying, ye shall not say the burden of the Lord, therefore I will even utterly forget you and forsake you. So he's telling the prophets, hey, I told you not to continue going out there saying the burden of the Lord. And because you say this word, the burden of the Lord, so this exact word, you're saying the burden of the Lord, all right, the Massa of the Lord. And I said to you not to say this word, the burden of the Lord, therefore, behold, I will even utterly forget you and forsake you. So this word means importance to the Most High. When you're saying the burden of the Lord, you're understanding, hey, I want to do what the tasks and services for the Lord. The Lord has tasks and services and a load on him. I want to take some of that load off of the Lord onto me, because the Lord is now in place of Moses. And Moses had all that burden on him. The Lord has all the burden of the whole world on him. He's asking us to take a part, take some, and perform it in the earth for him. All right, not that he can't. It's not like Moses. So he's not like Moses who's saying, I can't do it. It's so that you can be involved with the kingdom. That's what it's for. This is your opportunity to pay back Christ, who has taken you out of debt, of sin. And you see him with work and stuff, and you want to help now to do him back service because he made you light by paying your debt off, and now you want to do it. All right. So behold, even I will utterly forget you and will forsake you, the city that I gave you your fathers, and cast you out of my presence, and I will bring you an everlasting reproach upon you, a perpetual shame, and you shall not be forgotten. All right. And this is that same burden of the Lord. All right. So we're going to stop right there. All right. We're going to go to Philippians 4 and 8.
It's the book of Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you.
All right. So once again, all right, these burdens, all right, these things that you're hearing, all right, you're hearing about the burden of the Lord. All right. Seek it out, learn about it, go do it, discover it. All right. So with that being said, I want to say all praises be unto the Most High Almighty, Yeshua Christ, our Lord, our God, our Savior. This is the Essene Community Church of Christ. My name is Archbishop Shamar.
And I'm Bishop Michaela.
And that was our Sabbath report / lesson / gospel / song of the day, right? The burden of the Lord. 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 All right, this is part 1. Please check us out for part 2. All right, once again, peace and blessings. Enjoy the rest of the Sabbath. Enjoy the Lord's Day on the tomorrow. And we'll see you again, Most High willing. Peace and blessings. Happy Sabbath.
Peace and blessings.
Only the children of light is gonna understand this.
For there are 3 philosophical sects among the Jews, the followers of the first of which are the Pharisees, of the second, the Sadducees, and the third sect, and the third sect, and the third sect, which pretends to a severer discipline, are called deceived. These last are Jews by birth, and Jews by birth,